Greetings and welcome to Miles More Motivation, the show that's designed to give you more happiness, fulfillment, and obviously more motivation. In this episode, we're going to talk about problems, the truth, the dirty truth about problems. Rob Moore, who's a good friend and mentor of mine, Rob Moore, said a great quote recently. He said, and I don't think it was him that was the originator of it, but it's where I saw Rob say, hey Rob, if you're watching, he said, most people's biggest problem is that they think they shouldn't have any. Now, someone might say, well, it's easy for Rob to say, he's a multi-millionaire, life's amazing for him. Well, if you know Rob's story, you'd know that life has not been plain sailing for that guy, that's for sure. But for me, I feel there's some really fundamental things that need to be kind of learned and shared about problems. And if you're a person that finds yourself currently in a difficult situation, at time of doing this video, we're in this COVID situation, we're all locked down and many people losing their jobs, losing their homes, losing family members. It's still find it difficult to come up with a word to summarize what this period has been like. But if I were to summarize the vast majority, I'd say the vast majority of people would say this pandemic has been a problem. And like Rob says, most people's problem is that they think they shouldn't have any problems. And if you'd have gone back a year, people probably would have thought all the problems they had a year ago now probably pale in significance. The boiler breaks, all of a sudden that's not a problem when one of your members of your family is on a ventilator in hospital because they've got the virus, right? So what I want to do in this video is kind of share with you 3 ways that I approach problems and 3 ways that, look, don't take this from me, right? Everything that I'm sharing in this video are a model of what works. I'm a student of personal development. I've worked with the best, the Tony Robbinses, the Brendan Burchards of this world. So everything I'm sharing with you, this is just a model of excellence. It's not original. I can't pretend that it's my thing, but it's just my spin. And so in this video, if you're a person that's kind of going through problems, you're going through a tricky period, I think you're going to find this really useful. So first, I want to kind of share with you 2 ways that I look at problems and then something that's really going to help to shift your perspective. So the first, I want to share with you what I think is a real good thing about problems, and the kind of thing that I'm looking for, because as Rob says, most people's problem is they think they shouldn't have any problems. So for me, I'm always thinking, well, how do I get better quality problems? So one of the things that I look for when I'm looking for problems is what I call growth problems. So growth problems, the reason why they're good is because, well, they do just that, right? They make you grow. So pre-lockdown, all of my income that provided and supported our family came from live events, came from workshops, came from seminars, and obviously the world shut down and that kind of went, right? So it forced me to grow. It forced me to go, how are we going to get through this period? How are we going to generate an income that serves other people and serves us as a family? And through asking that better question, it gave me a growth problem. And I kind of came up with a new model, a way of facilitating my brand, a way of facilitating my coaching that would serve people powerfully and that would serve and provide us with the income that we needed as a family. So for me, growth problems are really important. So for example, if you go to the gym, right, and you are very comfortable getting on the cross trainer and doing 45 minutes, a growth problem would be challenging yourself to go and do a class that you're not usually used to doing. So for example, in this period, I've kind of not been able to go to the gym, and I was like, wow, well, how am I going to train? And I'm not really into home workouts and working out on the TV, and I just want to be in the gym lifting weights, right, with my headphones on. But I realized, well, there was no gym equipment available online at the time. I was like, I'm gonna have to adapt. So me and my wife, we started working out using this app called Beachbody, which I recommend. And I've been in a great program. I did a program called Lift 4. Then did a great program called 6 Weeks of the Work, which I'm still doing. And I made the decision that I was going to do that program for growth. And in actual fact, it's probably made me fitter. I've got more energy than ever. And I feel amazing as a result of doing that program. So much so, even though I probably will go back to the gym, I'm definitely not going to lose the workouts I've been doing on the TV because they've really, really been beneficial for me. So you want to think about, in the situation you're currently in, where can you find a growth problem? Where is there an area of your life where maybe you're kind of in a comfort zone that you could stretch yourself, maybe run a bit further, walk a bit further, lift some weights, get that fitness program and work out harder than ever before at home before the lockdown ends? What could you do that's really going to challenge you and really going to give you growth? So it's a really important one to think about, because the more you grow, the better you are to deal with problems. You know, Grant Cardone says, look for better quality problems. Some of the problems that I have in my life right now are very different to the problems I had 5-10 years ago. You know, the problems I had 5-10 years ago, which seem really significant, now would be just completely insignificant. And maybe you can relate. Maybe there's things in your life that would have stressed you out a few years ago, but now you're like, yeah, that's just normal now. I'm kind of used to it. I'm good with that. Next, you want to look for what I call contribution problems. Now, what this effectively means is when we are in a situation where we have a problem, from my experience, one of the best ways to shift your state, to change your mind out of feeling stressed about a problem, go and help somebody else. Every day I'm thinking, who can I help? Who can I serve? How can I make a difference? Doing these videos for me is about contribution. And so when you look to contribution, when you look to make a difference for other people, and you think about, you know, for instance, in my coaching, I'm thinking, how do I reach more people? How do I get these videos? Because I'm getting a lot of people telling me they're finding these videos useful. And if you've commented and said that you found these videos useful and you enjoyed them, I'm honored, thank you. But how many people have not seen these videos? How many people have not been exposed to personal development like this, full stop? And how do I reach them? For me, that's a contribution problem. Good friend of mine, Greg Secker. Hey Greg, if you're watching, love you, brother. Several years ago, a village in the Philippines, which homed people that worked for him in his offices in the Philippines. Greg's got a trading organization that trades all over the world. Wiped out the entire village. Typhoon Haiyan. Wiping out about 70 houses in the village. Greg and his team rebuilt that entire village with an infrastructure underneath the village to withstand future typhoons. That is what I call a contribution problem. So when you think about your problem and then you focus on how do I create a contribution, how do I serve my family better, how do I serve the world more, all of a sudden, sometimes you'll find that the problem that you thought was a problem kind of becomes more insignificant. And last, if you want to get out of kind of this mentality of feeling like, oh, I just keep getting problem after problem after problem, you want to do a really obvious one, which is, and if you don't do this enough, I still don't do this as much as I should, it's so powerful, and it's what I call perspective trading. Perspective trading ultimately means putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. You know, in this situation we're in at the moment, COVID-19, if you've not been affected directly by it, and you're locked down at home, how good is it that you've got more time to be fully present with your family? How good is it that you've got time to maybe start doing that course that you've not had time to do, to finish that book, to finish the garden, whatever it is. This period, if you choose to look at it this way, has been an incredible time for the people that have their health, have their family, and are at home and are safe. Versus the hundreds of thousands of people that have not only been affected by this virus, but have tragically died as a result of this virus. You know, I still hear people now complaining about, when will this lockdown end? When can I go back to the pub? And I'm like, there's people dying, for God's sake. You know, so when you change perspectives and you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you kind of realize, do you know what? This isn't really a problem. This is slightly inconvenient. As my good friend Gaz Jones would say, this situation is less than optimal. Hey Gaz, if you're watching. But often the things that we think are problems are not really problems. We just need to swap perspectives with someone who is experiencing a much bigger problem. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, please share, and if you wanted booking for a coaching call, there should be a link somewhere underneath the video. That's it. Miles More Motivation, over and out. See you next time.